do the best we can. Why can't they come out and say this? Why can't they come out and say, we will do this?
I think we should ask them.
Yeah, I would, that's,
I agree, Joe.
yeah, I mean, there's no reason to be, to sway from that question in any way, shape, or form. Yes, we promise we will do that,
Let's,
you know,
well, then, let's make the assumption, okay,
that they'll do it.
they'll do it. So, how do, given that,
I cannot at
what do we
this,
want, what
at
do
this
we
point, I
want?
can't support Phil's idea right now.
I generated a list of items. Right? Some are cuts, some are fees,
Right.
to pick and choose from to get to the number. And I identified what the number has to be, if you want to do all of it. And I think what I'm looking for from the board is
Yep, no, I understand.
a healthy discussion
Yep,
of
no, I understand. Yep, no, I agree.
what we feel our priorities are, what we can live with, right, and what the trade-offs are, and to get this out in public, because I'm sure we're going to, based on the number of emails that I've received this week, I'm sure there are a lot of people looking and looking for direction from us
Right.
associated with this problem.
I agree.
Now, there's some potential upsides that, you know, might happen. So, you know, I think what we need to do is structure our priorities, and then with the caveat that if there are upsides, we make appropriate adjustments to what we decide we're going to cut or turn into fees. And unfortunately, some of that we may not know even at April town meeting.
Right.
We may find ourselves calling a special town meeting to make an adjustment to something based on information that we get in late June. Not that I'm looking forward to doing it,
No,
but,
I understand.
you know, that
Yep.
could be, you know, we're at that state where, you know, if something comes along that makes sense, then we probably should react to it.
I understand, yeah, I appreciate that.
And by the way, those items that I put up, maybe not the only items that some of you might be thinking of that's saying, you know, maybe we ought to look at this too. And, you know, don't go by my list.
No.
I'm interested in getting, you know, any other additional input. And anything that's on that list that, I don't want to be cavalier about it, that I put up, that you think is dead wrong, right, or should be adjusted somehow, I think it should be put on the table for discussion.
Okay, well, can I, oh, I
Yeah,
wanna-
go ahead,
oh,
I'm sorry.
did you wanna go over this part of this list also, Bob? This
Did I
one here?
skip it?
No, but I mean, did you wanna comment on it? I mean, just to.
Yeah, sure, you want to comment?
Yeah, I guess,
What's your comment on Joe?
well,
I'll just put it up
on this
as
other
a-
service cuts to consider, I guess one thing that I really think we should look into deeply before we do it is to reduce the 2 full-time officers. As far as reducing the overtime, I don't know exactly how that overtime is allocated, so I would say that may be a possibility, but I don't know without speaking with the chief, but I certainly could not reduce myself the 2 officers, because I know I have talked to the chief, and he said that that does create overtime situations, just to have coverage for the town. One other thing I do want to say, because I did receive myself also a number of emails, and thank all of you who did send them. I mean that seriously. I did not mind getting them. I will put an override question on the budget. I'm sorry. I will put an override question on the ballot. I will do that. I've always said I would. I've always said I'd put it out to the voters and let them decide, and I will do it. I have not polled the rest of my board. I don't know how they feel. I have my own feelings on it, which I will keep to myself, but I will do that. I will tell you that right now. I will put an override question on the ballot.
Mr. O'Leary.
Again, once again, the chairman has done a terrific job of encapsulating the issues that are before us and the challenges that we have. He's also made some very legitimate proposals along with the administration to try and close the gap. My biggest concern is that we start raising some false hopes here in relation to restoring programs in the school department that can be sustained. majority of the dollars that we've identified, or that have been identified here, are not recurring dollars. They're a one-shot deal, one shot in the arm, take care of you for this year, and good luck to us next year, which leaves us in a situation where we have to come up with, again, as we talked about earlier, approximately $1.6 million for salary increases next year, plus what is not recurring here, we'll have to find that again. In taking money from these funds, and I hate to say raiding these funds, because, I mean, it's our money. I mean, some of these things we should be doing anyway. These are efficiencies that we should be gleaning out on an annual basis as they present themselves. You know, and again, it fluctuates as far as the vocational school, as far as the health insurance, Medicare Part B. Those numbers are all going to change and fluctuate. They're somewhat recurring. And just a quick little go through, and again, I just got this not too long ago. You know, the adoption of the new BLS fee structure within the fire department to raise more money. We should be doing this anyway, and we do it. And we do that anyway. So that money should be coming in anyway. So that's somewhat recurring. The lease for Swamp Farm for $20,000, that would be recurring. The health insurance trust fund, that would be recurring for $53,000. The only other thing that I can identify that really may be recurring, you know, would be if we take the, again, if you're gonna take and put the recreation department positions into the revolving fund, again, that would be recurring. The elimination of the subsidies for the trash would be recurring. Again, and these are the ways that we're changing the structure and how we're doing things and how we're funding them. The $184,000 that was identified previously, most of that is not recurring funds, and actually another the $35,000 or $36,000 of that 184 has actually been restored in the proposal by the chairman of the police cruiser, taking it out of free cash as opposed to, we cut it out of here and now we're taking it out of free cash and funding it again. So there's a net difference of $36,000 there. But my point is that there is very little, not enough. There is not enough recurring savings to sustain what we're trying to do here. And the only way that we can realize those sustained savings is to, I believe, do some combination of what's being proposed here and shifting some of these positions to the revolving fund, say, for the recreation, but would be the elimination of other positions in general government, cutting back of services on a sustained basis in order to properly make an attempt to restore some of the programs on the school department side. And there's no doubt, to date, the school department has taken an inordinate amount of hits in relation to the budget crunch, and the time has come where the sharing of responsibility, the prioritization of services that we currently enjoy, we're going to have to be looked at, and I believe we have to take some very strong measures to do so. I don't want to do that at the expense of providing the town with an opportunity, the slide up there that had to do with the debt stabilization fund. You know, again, with all due respect, you know, taking $500,000, I'm even somewhat opposed to taking the $150,000 and reducing it out, because we have a significant number of programs and needs, capital needs, that have been deferred and not met for a number of years, and they're not getting any better, and they're not getting any cheaper. So if we have to, what we found over the years sitting here is that as we defer the maintenance and we just defer the repairs on things, it gets more costly to fix it later on. So again, we're just postponing the inevitable on things. So I just think if we're really going to, and again, it may not be able to be done this year, but looking for the upcoming fiscal year and going into the following fiscal year, we really have to look at what kind of services we're providing and at what cost. And we're going to have to start making some choices. Some of the things that I've thought about, and this is not necessarily proposals. Ambulance service. One of the biggest costs that we have in relation to salaries on the general government side is overtime in both the police and the fire department. A lot of the overtime is associated with our ambulance service. Every time we send the ambulance out, we have to bring 2 guys in so that we can have adequate coverage. You know, if you were to contract that out, is there a cost associated? Is there an outside vendor that would be willing to come in here for the fee? In other words, we're not gonna get the income. We're not gonna get the income that we're currently getting. But then again, we're also not gonna incur all the overtime either. Our fire department does an excellent job of servicing us. I haven't talked to anybody in the community, in particular anybody that's unfortunately had to avail themselves of the services, nothing but accolades. Would we be getting the same level of service? Would we be getting, the same level of service that we currently enjoy? No. Would it be adequate? Probably. A lot of communities have this type of service. I'm not advocating it, but that's a different structural change in how we do business that we'd have to look at. Do a cost analysis on it. Costs associated with the school and town grounds and parks and recreations. We've been talking for years, and Bob sat on the Hillview Commission with myself for a number of years, and we've been talking about putting the parks and recreation grounds as well as the school fields and town government fields under the enterprise. Take a look at allowing the enterprise, bring it all under that umbrella, and allow the funds from Hillview to help assist in maintaining the fields and the costs associated with those. Can a savings be realized there? Absolutely. But we've always been very parochial about our land. This is town, this is school. That's Hillview. Well, we can't afford to do that anymore. It's something we have to look at. Health insurance coverage, obviously, is something that we're already engaged in discussions with the employees' union. And again, like Joe said, I want to thank everybody who's emailed me. It filled out my mailbox. I feel like I'm, somebody important, and somebody, everybody knows that I'm around and are interested in what my opinion might be on things. There were some interesting comments, and a few of them associated with town employees and the cost of them. I say them, and the cost of associated with sustaining the workforce. The town employees have nothing to do with this, really. I don't think there's anybody that's overpaid for what they get done here, for what they do for us. Nobody's getting rich being a town employee in the town of North Reading. The benefits that they enjoy are something that we negotiated fairly over the bargaining table. We have a 30-70 split. They pay 30% of their health insurance premiums. The town pays 70%. That's not a bad deal for the town. Many communities across the Commonwealth are at a 90-10 with town employees. We have a 70-30, so our employees are already absorbing 30% of the health insurance premium cost. I mean, what we need to talk about are the co-pays. We need to talk about the deductibles, which can realize some real substantial savings here and assist us. And again, I think we need to reach out. I think the employee unions really have to take a hard look at that to see how they can obviously contribute. From a premium standpoint, it could actually save them some money, but from an out-of-pocket standpoint, it might cost them a little bit more. But the trade-off is huge. It's something that they really need to look at. And then there's a few positions that, we look at, town hall and how we operate from a clerical standpoint, that our people within town hall. Can we restructure the clerical pool and maybe eliminate a position? Again, you're talking 20,000 here, 15,000 there, so it's not a lot of money. But it appears as though everybody's talking about, we're coming down to a campaign here, a campaign to make sure that we can restore some of the level of services that really we need to have for our school children. I mean, we've seen already the scores on our MCAS drop precipitously from where we were to where we are today. Is there a direct correlation between what we're spending and class sizes and all this? Probably, absolutely. Can we get back to where we were? I think it's going to be a tough thing to do without some assistance from the taxpayers in approving an override. We can't do it from within our own structure right now. It can't be done. So we're kind of engaging in a program where we're trading off, teachers for trash program or something. We're trading trash for teachers, and where people have to, pay more for trash so we can get in more teachers. That's a sad state of affairs, but that's where we're at. So before we go and we engage in a teacher for trash program, I'm not going to sit here and not offer the choices to people in the way of an override. I realized last year, and I've heard the arguments, how many times do you have to be told no? You've already said no, and no again, and no again, and no again. Well, I'm sorry. I don't mind sitting here making